Welcome to another tutorial. Today I'm going to be doing something a lot of people have requested, and this is a star processing workflow, and mainly we're going to be focusing on adding a glow to the stars to bring out some of the color and add a bit of spice to the image. We're going to be working with this SHO image of the bubble region in Cassiopeia, and this is our stars only image that I got out of PixInsight. The first thing we're going to do to the stars only image is bump up the saturation a bit by going to Image, Adjustments, Hue Saturation. And we're just going to bump that up maybe to about 30 just to get those base colors kind of popping. And after that, if you need to tweak using curves, maybe to get some residual green out, or maybe the color balance isn't quite right, but you want to see a nice balance of orange and bluish stars. Right now we don't need to do a lot of adjustments. This looks great already. I'm going to press Ctrl J to duplicate this layer, and I'm going to press Ctrl A to select all, Ctrl C to copy, and we're going to paste this on our starless image. And we're just going to rename this to stars. I'm now going to set the blend mode to screen. And when you're exporting your stars only image to Photoshop, this is usually the best practice to set to screen. It gives you the best blending, preserves star cores and color very nicely. The next thing we're going to do is, now that we've copied and pasted this, we're going to press Ctrl J again to get a second layer. And don't worry about how it intensifies the stars. That's normal. What we're going to do is actually go up to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and we're going to set this to like 4. Somewhere around there you can do 3 to 5. You want to get a nice small blur, which does not look particularly good at first. But what we're going to do, we're going to open curves by pressing Ctrl M. And we're just going to crank these blacks down and clip a lot of that blur. Go down to the first grid line here and bring down your highlights. And this is going to give a good fall off. We only want the blur to happen on some of the brighter stars. So this is going to control that blur a bit. We're going to press OK. And after we have that base layer, we're going to go over it again with another Gaussian blur just to get rid of any hard edges from clipping the blacks. And you can keep the original base blur layer value, I should say. And as we can see, we've got that blur kind of going. You can see some of the color already popping. We're going to take that layer, press Ctrl V, and now we have that in our clipboard, so we can copy and paste it over and over again. So now that we have that another layer, we're going to go back into Blur, Gaussian Blur, and we're going to double this value. We're going to go 8. And now you can see we got another larger blur happening. And we're going to press Ctrl V to copy that original layer. And it's still at the, we just copied another 4 pixel blur layer. So we're going to go to blur again. And the previous one, we doubled it to 8. Now we're going to go to 16. And you can see we've got that nice blur happening. Keeps getting larger and larger. We're going to have another layer. And go back to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and we're going to do a value of about 32. We want to double it again. See that blur is getting better and better. Press Ctrl V again. And in case you haven't noticed somehow, this is an iterative process. So we're basically going to do about 8 to 10 layers. And we're just going to keep copy and pasting these, incrementally doubling these. Once we're about to 128, you can kind of see the difference we've had already. So if I take all these layers that we've just created and I click merge layers, you can see the blur now that we've switched from screen to normal screen mode. We can see the blur itself. And if we go back to screen mode, we can kind of click on and off, and we can see how this has affected the image. So our major stars have got a nice fall off of blur, and we can even adjust opacity down here to get the desired look if it's too strong. Now, one thing I will say, this is highly customizable depending on your star field. This is a very weak star field because it's narrowband. So you can opt to clip less of the blacks, less of the blur in that very first layer we did. And that will let the blur propagate more of the star field. And you can even use less exponential increments. So you can, instead of doubling it, maybe add a third, or let's say we're going from 4 to 6 to 8 to 10, and then you jump to 15, 20, 25, 30, and then you jump to 40, 50, 60. So you can switch it up. You just play around with the settings. This is a good general basis. This is a subtle look. So we have some nice subtle glow on the largest stars here. And we can rename this to Star Glow. And after this, we can actually take our glow layer, go back to adjustments, hue saturation, and we can bump up the saturation even further just to bring out even more of that star color. And if we wanted to, we can go into curves by Control M and even go up to the highlights here, punch it up a bit. You can bring out the glow even more. Now, as I said, there's lots of customization that can happen with this. It's up to you to mess around with the parameters. Now that we've finished the star glow, we can press Ctrl-Alt-Shift-E to duplicate layer from visible, and it is ready to export. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you guys would like to see any other tips or tricks for processing that you may have seen in my images or other people's images. Clear skies, keep imaging.